ever get that feeling? You know, like you're so caught up in what someone else is doing, whether it's good or bad, that you end up being the one stressed out.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling.
Well, that's kind of what we're diving into today. It's called the let them theory, made really popular by Mel Robbins.
Oh, yeah, Mel Robbins. She's great.
If you're into, like motivational stuff or self-help, you've probably seen her videos.
For sure, yeah. She's got a lot of good stuff out there.
And so what we're doing today is we're kind of unpacking this idea, this let them theory. And we've got a couple of our YouTube videos that we're pulling from, and also like a really good article that explains the whole thing.
Yeah, sounds interesting. What is this let them thing all about?
Well, it's kind of like, it sounds super simple at first, but it's actually based on like some pretty deep psychology, I think.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like it's about boundaries.
Yeah.
Recognizing the limits of what you can actually control.
Exactly.
Which honestly is a lot less than we like to think,
Oh, totally.
And then like, okay, so what can you control?
Yourself.
Yeah. How you react.
Right. Your own responses, not trying to change other people.
It's tough though. I mean, I get why those videos went viral, millions of views. It's something a lot of people struggle with.
Totally.
It's like, why do you think it resonates with so many people, this need to control?
I think, well, on a basic level, it's anxiety, right? We want things to go a certain way, especially with people we care about.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You see them making choices you wouldn't, or they're in a tough spot.
Exactly.
And you just want to jump in and like fix it, make it better.
It's like we think caring equals doing,
Yeah.
Like, I have to do something.
Right, exactly. But sometimes the most loving thing, and Mel Robbins talks about this a lot, is to step back.
And just let them.
Yeah.
Let them figure it out. Let them make their own choices. Let them make their own mistakes even.
Yeah, which is like way harder to do than it sounds. Way harder.
So much harder.
It's like my brain is going a mile a minute. But that's where this let them theory comes in.
It's not being passive, though. It's not indifference. That's an important distinction, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's more like it's recognizing you can't force someone to think or feel a certain way.
You can't control their actions.
Nope.
Only your own.
I can see how that could be like freeing in a way, but I'm already thinking of situations where like, shouldn't you intervene? Someone's about to make a seriously bad decision.
Yeah, I know.
So it's not always the answer.
Right. And Mel Robbins, she addresses that. Like, there are definitely exceptions.
Okay, good. Like what?
Like, dangerous situations.
Mm.
Or if someone's violating your boundaries repeatedly, like you have to stand up for yourself.
Makes sense.
But for all those like everyday situations, where you just get super invested or you start to like low key try to control the situation.
Mm-hmm. I know exactly what you mean. Ugh.
This theory gives you another option. It gives you a different way to approach things.
So it's like being strategic.
Yeah.
Picking your battles.
Yeah. It's about being mindful. Like asking yourself, is this really my problem to solve?
Oh, that's a good one.
Or is this a chance for me to like practice letting go?
And letting them navigate their own path.
Exactly. And one of the examples that she uses, Mel Robbins, that really stuck with me was this story about her parents. They wouldn't visit her in Vermont.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw that video. Why wouldn't they go?
Well, it turns out, and this is where the whole like detachment aspect comes in.
Detachment.
Yeah, like realizing that other people's actions, they're not always about you.
Oh, right. It's not personal.
Right. They have their own stuff going on, their own experiences, their own perspectives.
Right, right.
And in her case, her mom had this like traumatic experience in Vermont when she was a kid.
Oh, wow. So she was like avoiding going back there.
Totally. So it makes sense, once you understand the whole picture.
Totally. It's like there's always more to the story.
Right. So instead of just jumping to conclusions or taking it personally.
Which is so easy to do.
Oh, so easy. This theory, this let them theory, it's like it encourages you to.
To what? To like?
To be curious.
Oh, okay.
Instead of like judgmental.
Yeah.
And try to understand, even if you don't agree.
That makes a lot of sense. And it probably leads to a lot less drama, too.
Oh, for sure. And more peace. Even those situations that feel, like, frustrating at first.
Yeah, like when you don't get the seat you want at a wedding. Classic.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, totally. But it's like, who cares,
Let them figure out the seating chart.
Right.
You just focus on having a good time.
Exactly. Or, like, I have this friend who was super upset because another friend went on a trip without her.
Ooh.
She just assumed they were going to go together,
Oh.
but she never actually, like, talked about it.
Oh, no.
So she just built up all this resentment. It's like classic example of how our own expectations
Yeah, our own story.
can create drama where there doesn't need to be any.
Totally. But this let them theory, it's like a reminder that sometimes people need space.
And it's not a reflection on you.
Yeah. Doesn't mean they don't care.
Right. So it's letting go of that need to control, like, every aspect of the situation.
Giving them the freedom to make their own choices,
Exactly. And trusting that they have their own reasons that are valid,
even if we don't get it.
even if we don't get it.
Okay, I'm starting to get this.
Yeah, it's a good one.
You know, it's funny, right? Like, this whole idea that caring about someone means you have to fix their problems.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're taught, right?
Yeah, totally. Like, if you love someone, you gotta, like, swoop in and solve everything.
Exactly. But this let them thing, it's like a totally different approach.
It's like empowering them instead of enabling them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's more about like shifting your own mindset,
Yeah. Absolutely. It's less about them, more about you.
Yeah, like from control to like encouragement.
Support over solutions.
I like that.
So you're supporting them, but you're not, like, taking away their chance to figure things out for themselves.
Right? You're giving them the space to grow and learn from their own experiences.
Which makes a lot of sense for kids, especially.
Oh, totally. It's like that story Mel Robbins tells about her son's school.
Oh, yeah. What was it again?
They had this policy where parents weren't supposed to bring forgotten lunches.
Wait, they encouraged kids to forget their lunch?
No, 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 not encouraged, but they didn't want parents to rescue
Oh,
them.
that's interesting.
Yeah, it was like a natural consequences thing.
So the kid forgets their lunch. They have to deal with being hungry.
Right, and figure out a solution for next time.
I can see how that would be tough for some parents.
Oh, for sure. But the idea is to let them learn from the experience.
Instead of always swooping in and saving the day.
Yeah, exactly. It's like building resilience.
So it's not just about forgotten lunches. It's about letting people make their own choices. And yeah, like you said, sometimes make their own mistakes.
Exactly, even if it's hard to watch.
It makes me think about, like, my friend who's always making bad financial decisions.
Ooh, yeah, I know that type.
My instinct is to always help them out, lend them money or whatever.
Right, right.
But now I'm wondering if that's actually hurting them more than it's helping.
It's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you could be preventing them from learning how to manage their money responsibly.
So letting them in that situation would mean, like,
Setting boundaries, being there for them, but not rescuing them financially.
self-love.
Yeah, kind of. It's about trusting that they can figure it out.
Okay, but what about situations that are more serious? Like if someone's struggling with addiction,
Right.
surely you wouldn't just let them hit rock bottom.
That's a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to acknowledge that let them isn't always the answer.
Right. There are limits.
Yeah, like Mel Robbins talks about in her videos, in those situations, professional help is crucial.
Okay, so it's not about being completely hands-off.
No, it's about finding that balance between support and recognizing when you need to step back.
So you can offer support and encouragement, but ultimately it's up to them to get help.
Exactly. You can't force someone into recovery.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's about empowering them to take ownership of their own journey.
Okay, so we've talked about letting go of control when it comes to problem solving,
Huh.
but there's another aspect to this let them thing,
What's that?
letting people be themselves.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
And this applies to all relationships, but it's especially important in romantic
Oh,
relationships,
for sure. It's so easy to fall into that trap of trying to change someone.
especially when you're first dating.
Yeah, you're all caught up in the potential.
You're falling in love with who you think they could be, not who they actually are.
Right, and that's a recipe for disaster.
Big time. And this is where let them can really help.
How so?
It's about accepting people's flaws and quirks and all that stuff,
Letting go of that need to mold them into your ideal partner.
which is impossible, by the way. No one's perfect.
And probably exhausting, too.
Oh, totally. It's so much easier to just let people be themselves.
Didn't Mel Robbins say something about jealousy being a form of control?
Oh, yeah, I think so. How did she put it?
Something like when you're jealous, you're trying to control your partner's behavior to feel more secure.
Right. It's like you're threatened by their independence.
Exactly, and you try to limit their interactions with other people or dictate how they spend their time.
Makes sense. It's about clinging to control instead of trusting the relationship.
And the irony is by trying to control things, you often push your partner away.
Totally. It backfires.
So what's the alternative?
Well, Mel Robbins says it's counterintuitive, but you bring more love to the situation by letting go.
By accepting them for who they are.
Exactly. And supporting their happiness, even if it makes you uncomfortable.
That's a tough one, but I can see how it would lead to a healthier dynamic.
For sure. It's about recognizing that their happiness doesn't take away from yours.
And that their independence isn't a threat.
It's actually a sign of a strong relationship.
Where both people feel secure and supported.
And it's not just about actions or hobbies. It's also about allowing space for emotions.
Oh, yeah, like letting them express their feelings, even if those feelings are directed at you.
Which is super hard, especially if you're on the receiving end of anger or frustration.
Your instinct is to get defensive or try to shut down the conversation.
Right, or offer advice when what they really need is just to be heard.
Oh, yeah. It's so tempting to jump in with solutions.
But sometimes the best thing you can do is just listen and validate.
Mel Robbins tells that story about her daughter getting frustrated because their plans were delayed.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
And instead of trying to rush her or dismiss her feelings, she just let her express her frustration.
And it made a huge difference.
Yeah, her daughter felt heard and understood, and she calmed down.
It's powerful stuff. Just listening and validating can be so healing.
It's like that saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Exactly. It's about showing up with empathy and understanding even when it's tough.
So we've talked a lot about this let them theory,
Yeah, we've really gone deep, haven't we?
but like, how do we actually put this into practice?
Yeah, good question. How do we actually use this in our everyday lives?
Like, what are some real life situations where this mindset shift can make a difference?
Well, it's interesting because this idea applies to so much, you know.
Like big stuff and small stuff.
Exactly. Everything from like major decisions to those little annoyances that drive you crazy.
Right.
Like Mel Robbins even talks about using it in her marriage.
Oh, yeah. She mentions that her husband thinks way slower than she does.
Yeah, and it used to drive her nuts.
But instead of trying to speed him up, she learned to appreciate it.
Like recognize the value in their differences.
Yeah, it's like his thoughtfulness balanced out her impulsiveness.
Yeah, yes. A perfect example of how let them can help you see things differently.
And find harmony even when you're totally different.
Totally.
It's not about expecting everyone to be like you or do things your way.
Right. It's about recognizing that there are lots of different ways to be.
And that diversity is actually a good thing.
Absolutely.
And it makes me think about that example with her daughter getting ready.
Oh, yeah, when she was stressing about being late.
It would be so easy to just rush her or try to fix it.
Yeah, take over.
But sometimes what they really need is just to feel heard,
Yeah, just to have their feelings acknowledged.
not managed or dismissed.
That's so important. And it's something I'm trying to be more mindful of with my own kids.
It's so tempting to jump into fix-it mode.
Oh, for sure. But sometimes that's not what they need.
Sometimes they just need you to listen.
And validate their experience.
Even if it's messy or uncomfortable.
Exactly.
What about those tricky family situations,
Oh, yeah, like those relatives that always seem to push your buttons.
How does let them apply there?
It's about setting boundaries.
Which can be really hard with family.
Oh, totally. But it's about recognizing that you don't have to engage in every argument.
Or try to fix everything.
Right. You can't control their behavior, but you can control how you react.
It's like that example with Mel Robbins and her parents.
Oh, yeah, when they wouldn't visit her in Vermont
She just let go of trying to force it.
and focused on building relationships where she was.
It's a good reminder that you can't control other people.
But you can control yourself.
Okay, here's a classic one. What about when your friend is dating someone you can't stand?
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
Do you try to intervene or just let them make their own mistakes?
It's tough, right? Because you see the red flags.
But it's their life.
It's their relationship.
And sometimes people need to learn the hard way.
Yeah. It's like that saying, you can't protect someone from the storm, but you can teach them how to dance in the rain.
I love that.
So instead of trying to prevent the heartache, you can be there to support them through it.
If it happens,
And by honoring their autonomy, you're showing them respect.
trust. Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about work.
Yeah?
How does let them apply in a professional setting?
Oh, interesting.
Like, I'm thinking about those times when I get so caught up in a project that I start micromanaging.
Oh, yeah, or taking on too much responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't trust anyone else to do it right.
That's that control thing again.
But it's exhausting.
Totally. And it leads to burnout. So how do you let go in that situation?
Well, it goes back to that question, whose business am I in?
Is this really my responsibility?
Can I delegate this to someone else?
It's about trusting your team.
And empowering them to do their jobs.
Instead of being a control freak,
Yeah, be a leader.
support them, guide them, but don't micromanage them.
Right.
It's funny because letting go can actually make you more productive.
Absolutely. It frees up your energy to focus on the important stuff.
The big picture.
It's a win-win.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the let them theory, what's the key takeaway?
Well, I think it's this true happiness comes from mastering your own internal state.
Not from trying to control everything around you.
Right. You can't always control what happens, but you can control how you respond.
And by letting go, you create space for peace and joy.
It's a challenging mindset shift for sure.
But the rewards are worth it.
It's about choosing to live with more freedom, acceptance, and love.
And it's not just about you. It impacts everyone around you.
Yeah, your relationships, your work, your community.
When you practice let them, you're making the world a better place.
So I encourage you to think about where you can let go a little bit.
What areas of your life could use less control and more trust?
Maybe it's a relationship a work situation, or even just your own inner critic,
Experiment with let them and see what
you
happens.
might be surprised by the peace and freedom you discover.